Well, it's episode number 24, so what's better than inviting onto the show the most famous number 24 in Grasstrack racing? Our Outside the Pegs guest on this episode is a sidecar driver who's pretty much won everything there is to win. He's won the Aces, he's won the Berks Bonanza, he's won the Grand Slam, the Bonfire Burn-Up, and he's been twice British Masters champion. All those illustrious trophies sit on his wall at home somewhere. We seem to always throw around the term legend on this podcast, but after an illustrious career spanning 4 decades, it's hard to come up with any other word. So, welcome to the podcast, Rob Wilson. How you doing, Rob?
Yeah, hi Gareth. Yeah, thanks for having us on your podcast, and hopefully I can answer most of your questions correctly.
I'm sure you will. Yeah, we're going to delve into it a little bit, I think, because like I say, it's been a long time that you've been racing sidecars and racing bikes in general. So we've got a lot of thinking to do, and I know a lot of people are excited to hear about it, Rob. So it's going to be great, I'm sure.
Okay, mate.
Now, first of all, it's episode 24, and it was a bit of a coincidence on my part. I didn't plan this at all, but you've ended up on it. How did you end up riding with 24?
In the real early days as a solo rider, obviously, I had a little bit to do with Roland Duke. Used to push bike over to from Headcorn to Frittenden, and Roland's number was 25. I purchased a 250 Barracuda off of Roland. And I decided my number at that time was 24, and that's really about it, Gareth, to be fair.
And you went one less than him, not one more than him. One in front of him, I suppose.
Yeah, well, that was the plan, but to be fair, that again didn't really work out for me, being a solo rider.
No, I mean, we were going to sort of talk about how you started on a sidecar. I didn't really know you rode a solo, so that was where it all started then for you, solo racing.
Yeah, I'd done a little bit of junior grass track, not a lot, because my dad was racing, and it was obviously difficult to do the both. But yeah, I had a little 200cc Tiger Cup, and from my memory's right, I used to go over to Iwade and used to do a little bit of junior grass track, but not that great amount, to be fair.
And then, because Dad rode sidecars, didn't he?
Yeah, my dad was a sidecar racer. He done obviously left hand because that was the sort of thing that went on in Kent at the time. But then he did turn and do a little bit of right-handed. Yeah, I suppose the bikes then were pretty universal. You'd go left and right.
Yeah, but it was mainly left around that sort of time, I think, wasn't it? There wasn't a lot of right-handed, or certainly in your neck of the woods.
No, for sure. Down here, and I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but you could have like 78 competitors left-handed at some of these club meetings.
Yeah.
Which obviously a lot more than what we get to today.
Yeah, crazy, absolutely crazy. They've well, I mean, we'll sort of talk about your sidecar career in a minute, but before we do that, we'll bring everyone up to speed. And you didn't ride in 2020 at all, did you? Last year, you didn't get to ride at all. I mean, there's only about 4 meetings, but
yeah, no, didn't ride at all. We went to Kings Lynn to do like a speedway meeting, but that didn't work out for us because we had some ignition problems with our bike, so we didn't even make it out onto the track.
Yeah, but 2019 obviously was a full season. How did the season go?
Yeah, again, it started off pretty good. Yeah, mainly because I was in Australia watching Mark Plaisted. The Aussie titles, Mark had a third. He made me the broom man for that weekend. So we started off all right, Gareth. But yeah, then it sort of went on from there. The summer best pairs was quite good for us. Obviously, the young pairing of Kieran Hicks and Kieran Ivey. We had a second. We obviously won it the year before, but we had a second, which was great. I think the Masters, we ended up with 7th overall. Again, just squeezed out really of getting in that top 6. That again, I thought he was me mate, that Kieran Hicks, but I'm not quite sure. He obviously he won that semi-final, and that put us back into 7th place. So yeah, obviously if we get going again in 21, we need to go and qualify.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock, really. I mean, it's it was great for Kieran, a great ride in that semi-final. But yeah, nobody really saw it coming. It looked like you had things weighed up. You didn't look like you were having a bad day, really, as such. But yeah, the Masters is tough, I suppose.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, we ran a fourth in that last semi-final. I think we had to keep in front of Matt. That's what I had in my mind, to be fair. Um, didn't even think about Kieran going out and winning it. But yeah, sure enough, he's a young gun and he's going extremely well, isn't he? So.
Yeah, yeah, he certainly is. Well, we'll come back to sort of because I know that you had a lot of plans for 2020, which I'm guessing will go on to 21 now, and we'll sort of think about that towards the end of the podcast. But what I know we really want to talk about is your career up to now, because it's been a long time. Now, I've been a bit nervous about saying exactly how long. I've kind of been around the sort of 40 odd years, but I do want to offend you before you even came on. Do you know how long it's been that you've been racing?
It would be in that sort of 40 years, perhaps a little bit more. I'm 63 now. I would have been out there when I was probably 18. Sidecar rider, driver. Um, Not a full year, but the odd occasion I borrowed my dad's sidecar. And obviously, I've done a little bit of solo before that. So, yeah, I have been out there a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time. So it all began. Where did it all begin, and how did it sort of come about?
I suppose my dad had a motorbike. Um, and obviously it sort of stemmed from there. He was a long distance lorry driver. I used to give him a hand, clean the bike and stuff like that. And yeah, we done a little bit of junior Grasstrack. And like I said, then Roland wasn't that far away. Yeah, used to go over and give him a little bit of a hand, helping him clean his bikes. And obviously he was teaching me all the time, how to clean them or how to look after them, do a little bit more of the mechanical work that was carried out on a weekly basis. And that's really where it started. But as far as the sidecars go, yeah, just borrowed my dad's bike now and again. I mean, obviously, I was an apprentice mechanic, didn't particularly have a lot of money, so yeah, it was more or less just borrowed my dad's bike, and we had some great fun on it. Must admit.
Yeah, and that was so that would have been left-handed, would it, or would that have been right-handed?
No, that was right-handed.
Right.
Never have been left-handed. To be fair, been a left-hand passenger with my dad. Been a right-hand passenger with Jim Penfold back in the day. But
Yeah.
yes, yeah, this my dad had a right-handed Lynx outfit. Um, Again, it only had what was then a 650 Triumph, which was probably quite a good engine at the time. A lot of the outfits did have them Triumphs in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, well, that brings us neatly onto your own sort of equipment, really, because one thing that I'm keen to talk about is how many different outfits you've had. You've a lot of different frames, a lot of different engines, and it seems like every time you get one really going well, you change to something else, and that's happened quite a lot. Most recently, I can remember the Suzuki was absolutely flying at one point, and then you thought, right, that's enough of that. We'll get a Honda now, and it's always sort of gone on like that.
Yeah, I suppose that is how it has worked out. To be fair, no real particular reason behind that. It's just that, yeah, I suppose engines have moved on, haven't they? I had, if we're just going back to talking about frames, the Lynx frame I had, like I said, with my dad, that was a 650 Triumph engine. Um, at the time, I had a guy called Vaughan Roberts with me who went on to have his own outfit. Um, I think at the time we went and brought a 650 Morgo for this bike because my dad said, "Yeah, you get on with it now." So,
Oh, right.
we sort of upgraded that to a Morgo conversion, I think they called them. Um, yeah, and sort of rode that probably for a year. Um, and then I don't know if you can remember this. Lenny Diggins had a 1000cc Laverda,
Right.
3-cylinder Laverda, and that was in a wasp frame, Gareth.
Yeah.
Um, I rode that for a couple of years, and then we put a Yamaha V twin into that frame. That particular frame that wasn't particularly successful. Um, yeah, 88, I suppose. I think now we had a wasp frame, but we had the V twin, not the V twin, the NRE Westlake, but we
Hmm.
laid it down in the chassis,
Right.
similar to these 500 sidecar type guys.
Yeah.
Which was a really good bike, nice handling bike. But what we couldn't do was obviously keep that NRE together. So
Hmm.
we went back to, I think by this time you probably had Dewey on a Westlake and a few of the other boys on Westlakes that were going really good. So we purchased another Wasp outfit, but this one was off of Colin Banks. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah.
That again was a V-twin Westlake. That was a very good bike, but obviously Colin probably would have had the best out of that engine. And the time I got it and we took it apart and had a look at it, it was not particularly good inside. So that was the end of that. Brian Metzen, Mate's an exhaust guy. He used to race. He built me a homemade motorbike, but we had the Valentine V-twin in it.
Right.
Yeah, which was obviously part of the latest of the Westlakes. But that again, I don't know if it was frame, me, or engine, but that particularly wasn't that good either, to be fair. Went back to Wasp, but we then had a Godden engine, the V-twin Godden.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, obviously Donna got these off going really good. And yeah, we had tried a few V-twin Goddens. We probably, I would have had 2 or 3 of them, I think, be it long strokes, short strokes, all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
And then we also had the Godden Hagen, the Hagen frame, similar to Dave Manning.
Yeah.
And that again was a very, very good bike. And then we started to sort of get with the boys, the better guy. Well, I say better guys. We've been around them for a few years, and people like Smithy, I suppose, you've got a Mesa and Dewey and all them sort of guys. They were the guys doing the winning, and yeah, all of a sudden we got a motorbike similar to what they had. So yeah. We did start to go a little bit better on that Hagen.
That's my earliest memory of you on is that the Hagen with the blue back mudguard and.
That's the one.
Yeah. It looks nowadays a little bit agricultural, but it did go. It certainly did go.
I mean, Alf, and I suppose they copied these. Yeah, I mean everybody copies each other to a certain extent, but there was a very, very light motorbike, not a lot to it. You know, no suspension basically in the chair or nothing like that. We're obviously times before we'd had that sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, and I had Vince on with me at the time with that bike, and we did start to go reasonably well. To be fair, yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we did.
Definitely. And then after that, I can only remember you on a Godden again, then a Godden Wasp again for several years.
Yeah, it was. That's exactly it. We went back to a Wasp with a Godden in it. Then I had a Steery with a Godden in it.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, Mick built us one with a Godden in it. That again was a very light motorbike. Yeah, no disrespect to Mick, but it fell apart in the end, that one. But it was, had the alley floors and not much frame around it and all this sort of good stuff. But a lovely motorbike. It's still, I've got some lovely pictures of that bike. It's really good. Really good.
Was that the one? Was it blue? That one, sort of powder coloured blue?
It was more red and gold. We had all the anodising done it because there was a lot of aleonic floors down the side, down the running board, up the front.
Right.
And it had a lot of gold on it, anodised. Right. But if I could find it, I'll put a picture on Facebook or something because it was a real good looking bike at the time.
Yeah, and then eventually you sort of realised you were going to need to go multi and ended up joining everybody else.
Yeah, that was basically it. It was joining everybody else. By this time we had started having a little dig at a few of them, and certainly Roger Mesa comes to mind, and he had some really quick motorbikes, and I think Roger he come off his V4 Honda and he the same had to go sort of X up or Genesis X up, whatever you want to call them. And that particular engine sort of suited a Grasstrack motorbike. You know, you could sit behind the carbies if you like, because the barrels went forward. It was just a great engine for a sidecar, like, you know.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, most of the multis were pretty well upright, and you had to sit quite high, like, you know.
Yeah.
But Roger helped us a lot in the first instance. obviously Steery was doing a lot for me then, and he was a great guy. I mean, he would change my motorbike every week if he could, because
Mm.
that's what he was like, and that's what I was like. But the VFR 750 swinging arm come into play then, and Roger had played with that, and Roger helped me with that. Obviously, putting that into or incorporating that into a steer frame. Yeah, and we had some real nice. We started to go good again. Once we
Mm.
got it sorted out, and Roger played with the engine, and yeah, he was probably one of the best guys to put your X up engine right. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think he was doing a lot at the time, wasn't he? There's a lot of the motors, and you rode his outfit for a while. I'm assuming it was his outfit. It was definitely in his sort of trim, but
Yeah, it was. I think this is why we was really waiting for Steery to finish the X up that he was building for me.
right.
I think that's how that come about. But
So was that what Mick built? Was that based on what Roger had built, or was it something?
very, very similar.
Yeah.
They're all similar, Gareth. So to be truthful,
Right.
you've lost the inch here and put a little bit here, or you put your headstock up low or high, or to the left or to the right, and that's just how it goes on. But
Mm.
yeah, just the back end, because you could buy this BFR 750 swinging arm, and it was a lovely swinging arm. It was alley, it was light. You could use the linkage. You just put your own shock in it. Um, yeah, it made it easy to, you could purchase it, and your back end was done for your bike, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I didn't put it on the list, but I do then remember you went R1 after that for a bit, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We just obviously, again, them X ups were great, but I did blow a few holes in them, and you used to break cranks and do clutches and all sorts. So the next step, the latest Yamaha, the R1 was the one. So we got one of them. Again, Mick, all these motorbikes normally were sold on. The Steery bike was sold on at the end of the year. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, I have had a lot of motorbikes, but it was Mick's choice as well as mine to sell that motorbike. And,
Yeah.
you know, and as you're right in what you're saying, as and when we got it going, good, we'd make a change. But we most of the times we've come through and got them going good again, like.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean that happened with the next sort of engine you went to, the Suzuki motor. And I remember quite clearly when you first went to it, there was a few people going, "What does he want that thing for?" And like the first few meetings weren't great, and then all of a sudden, by sort of 2005, 2006, it was unbelievable. It was just like everyone started going Suzuki, and lots still do now. I mean, Mark's still running a Suzuki, and that all started, I think, with you turning to the Suzuki, 20 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was a lovely motorbike, and yeah, I think we probably started off with perhaps an '04 Suzuki engine, and you had to do a little bit of work on them ones just to make them reliable. But again, yeah, it suited your steery frame. Obviously, by this time, a long time back, we'd come off our motocross knobbly sort of tires and went to what I call a trials tire or a speedway tire, and that suited the steery outfit as well. Um, and yeah, that Suzuki engine was good. It was quick. It was reliable. Um, by this time, we'd obviously got the Cayenne carburetors on them. We had probably Dyna 2000 ignition at the time. It all worked. The combination of that worked. Um,
Mm.
and in 2006, that bike was sold, or a bike was. Well, Miles had one bike. He had my black bike, which
Yeah.
was a 2004 one, and he went extremely well on that. Um, we built another one, or Steery did, and Matthew Tyrrell brought that at the end of Collier Street 2006. Took it away with the dirt on it, which was handy. I
Yeah.
didn't have to wash it. But that was a lovely motorbike. That was a 2000 stock engine, what I call stock engine, but with nice stuff around it. Not good ignition, good carburetors, and that worked extremely well. So
Mm.
yeah, you're right. That was they were the Suzuki days gone over with.
Yeah, and I think that what you were saying there is what I was sort of remembering as well. Yeah, obviously you went real good on them, but then to sell them on, Miles got it and was extremely quick on the black one, and then yeah, I can remember Matthew Tyrrell just it upped his game having your old bike as well. And I can't remember who. I think Andy Gribble may have had it after him,
Yeah, I
and
think
he
he
went
did.
well on it as well. Like it was just
Yeah,
one of those
yeah,
bikes that just was, yeah, real good, really good
yeah,
bike.
yeah. The
So
whole thing was a good bike, that's for
yeah,
sure.
definitely. And then you decided to go Honda after that.
Yeah, well, that sort of time, I sort of, I was half going to retire, and to be fair to some of the clubs at the local sort of dinner dance things at the end of the year, I went and got my gifts, my retirement gifts, and it was great,
Yeah,
and I'm still here now. So,
yeah,
but yeah, no, yeah, a theory saying again, really. Well, we'd never done anything on well, we never had a Honda engine. We'd had most other motorbike engines. Um, and he said, his exact words were, let's build one for high days and holidays,
right.
thinking we'd just slowly build one and we'd have a skid on it now and again. But
Uh,
you know how it is.
yeah,
I couldn't really get it going, and probably still can't get it going. And yeah, it just carried on, really, mate. To be honest with you.
yeah. And that, yeah, so that turned into, yeah, went Honda for quite a few years then before.
Yeah, yeah. There was well, I think I'm right in saying the '04 to the '07 Hondas. We had sort of an '05, '06 Honda in there. And it did go on for a while. And then I went on to the slightly different engine, still a Honda, the '08 till recently, really,
Yeah.
that shape of Honda.
Hmm.
But yeah, they go all right. It's probably me getting old, Gareth.
Or everyone else is getting faster. I don't know. We're not sure
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
is.
Well, that as well. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
More recently, I think last year you were on the crossplane engine, which
Yeah,
obviously is a different sounding engine, and it looks like it needs to be handled with a little bit of yeah, a little bit aggressively, really.
yeah. Which probably I haven't got. I'm not sure if I should be saying this, but them boys who have got them are riding well. Have got big balls. Trust me, they really have, Gareth. They hang on to them. Um, they don't particularly rev hard. You can't really rev them that hard. I don't think you need to ride them and hang on to them. And it didn't really work out for me, to be honest with you. Um, yeah, that particular bike was a Mick Cave bike. The whole bike was Mick Cave. We put the R1M into that bike. Um, yeah, and we did try hard. But
Yeah,
I think it just didn't suit me. And hopefully, the guy who purchased that, who's got it now, and unfortunately, hasn't been able to ride it due
yeah,
to the COVID-19 issues, is Mark Warren. So I
right.
wish him all the best with it, because it is a quick motorbike, but
Yeah,
it does want some hanging on to, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Does
yeah.
does.
They look like they do. I mean, I've never ridden a crossplane, but they look, yeah, they look like. It's interesting though, isn't it? That sort of Gareth Winterburn and Rod Winterburn, they've gone crossplane, and obviously Kieran rides
Yes,
crossplane. But
yes,
Mark has always stuck with the Suzuki. You know, he's sort of tried out the crossplane and gone back to the Suzuki again.
yeah, he has. I think the bikes, the Yamaha that the Rod, Gareth, and Kieran all ride are the older ones up to 014,
Right.
which I think are a little bit better for the grass. A lot of boys have got them in their speedway bikes as well. And not particularly that fast on the road. Not a particularly good super bike, but they improved. And obviously the R1M seems to be more. It's still a big bang type power, but it's got much quicker again. So
Mm.
but that 14 one that, like you say, Rod, Gareth, Kieran, and Mark stuck with his Suzuki, and I still believe to this day that if you're watching, and it's great to watch him, Mark Cosser on his Suzuki is probably quicker.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's more to do with the bike, but certainly Mark's engine, the Suzuki, is still good to this day,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's definitely on his day. I mean, if he gets out the gate, Mark, he's, even if it's Gareth or Rod, they don't seem to catch him.
No,
Whereas if Gareth gets out the gate in front of Mark, the race is on a little bit, isn't it? I think.
yes, it is. It is. But yeah, they're
Yeah.
they're all young guys, aren't they, to a certain extent? And yeah, going good.
Yeah, definitely. So out of all of those, then, I mean, I've got my particular Rob Wilson favourite, but which one was your favourite sort of engine to build a frame around?
Well, still have to go back to obviously what we, where we'd got good results, and we probably a little bit younger. Would be the steer. The
Yeah,
steer frame with the Suzuki was the one.
yeah,
For me, it just worked. We just seemed to be able to put it where we want. Um, yeah, just a great little motorbike at the time, and probably, you know, we were the first to have a Suzuki Cayennes, all the right ignition, and yeah, it's great when you're the first and you can get it right. You can stay there for a little while, can't you?
yeah, yeah, definitely. And Mick, obviously, Mick Steer was a massive part of all of that. And how did it come about, you sort of working with Mick?
Well, Mick, um, yeah, I've obviously known Mick through Dave Steer, who used to race. You obviously know Dave.
Yeah,
There wasn't many weeks that Dave wouldn't come out with something new on his motorbike, be it, big wheel, little wheel, but, headstock, high, low, and it all used to get changed within a week. But it, I suppose Steer, he had my Hagen down there, and it's strange you spoke about the seat and the mudguard. That was it always used to keep falling off the seat and the rear mudguard from Alf. So one winter there, I had Steery sort the back end out of it, made a nice new seat, made a bracket for the mudguard, done a few other little jobs, and that was it. I think
yeah.
that was where I first caught up with Mick, and yeah, just went on for a long time. I mean, he was just a great guy.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, he built you some lovely motorbikes, really, and he's, I think, around about the time where you sort of talked about it earlier, the sort of knobbly tyres onto the trials and then onto the speedway tyres seems to be the time that mixed frames really came into their own a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. They really did. They was neat, tidy little motorbikes, and like you said, that back wheel tyre suited that particular frame. It really did. And then, what Mick could do, he was obviously working in his back garden like a lot of us do in our sheds, but a really good engineer. A really good engineer. When I first caught up with Mick, he used to. His job basically was cutting vehicles in half, like tractor units, and making them a little bit longer and making them into tippers. And there wasn't nothing that man couldn't do.
Mm.
He would cut it in half, put the bit in the chassis, build the body, and alongside that in the corner, he was building frames.
Yeah,
And that's where it all started. And then obviously Mick come to age where he could retire, and yeah, he's got steer frames all over. Down in Cornwall, Richard Thomas, Kenny Hamill, John Halsey. We all had them. It was like an epidemic.
yeah,
But
yeah,
and then they're all catching up with you then, aren't they?
yeah. It did. It went, around sort of 99, 2000. Everyone had a steer. Everyone.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were just, they were everywhere. I think we did a quiz back along, and the '99 Masters. I think that it was only 5 outfits at the whole in the Masters that weren't on steers, which just is unbelievable.
yeah, yeah.
And
No,
a credit to him, really.
oh yeah, big time. I mean, like you say, he was a lovely bloke. It's a shame we lost him. Obviously, we lost Gene, but I would spend hours and hours and hours down in that shed with that guy.
Yeah, yeah. Sadly missed. He really is.
Yeah,
And
big
and
time.
yeah, talking about tyres, because nowadays everyone seems to, never put a speedway tyre on unless they're on a speedway track. But around that sort of time, I know that Dave Steer often says that he would quite often put a speedway tyre on for practice and just leave it on. And Simon Beanie's bike, is built around it's a copy of a Steer, really. And it handles so much nicer with a speedway tyre on, but most of you guys now don't really use them.
I think again you're going back to track preparation. If the track is the bumps have been taken out of it and it's been rolled and rolled and rolled and it stays hard, you would opt for a speedway tyre. So the likes of Collier Street and places like that, even the Aces towards the end of their meetings, they rolled them tracks so hard and made them so smooth that you could get away with a trials tyre in the back. And you're right, it did make the bike handle really that much better.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that's more to do with the how they prepare a track. If you go just to what I call a normal grass track, that's it's deep, it's dirt, it's grippy, you're gonna use your trials tyre.
Yeah, yeah. I think that we've noticed that it's rare now that they seem. It used to be, like I say, people used to always get the speedway tyre on as soon as they could, but now it's rare. I mean, Mark, I don't think ever takes the trials tyre off unless he's on a speedway track. And it's just an interesting change. Has there been any other changes over the years? What do you think is the biggest change? Like, obviously, you've gone through all of those different frames.
Yeah,
What do you think made the
I,
biggest change?
I, as far as the engines go, I mean, they've got better and better. The manufacturers have obviously made them faster and faster, and they've got more reliable and as the years have gone on. But for me, I suppose when I went back, I had the old Amel carburetors on my bike, and then I probably had the old Dal Autos.
Yeah,
And then all of a sudden, the Cayenne carburetor come about.
yeah,
And to be fair, that made our motorbikes that much better again. They would run sweet. You could the throttles were a lot lighter. You could just it just made the engine that much better.
yeah,
And frame wise, I suppose everything is they just got a bit lighter. People have started preparing tracks. Back in I can when I first started, I can remember people preparing tracks.
right.
They put the pegs out and you'd race around a grass field and that was it.
Mm.
Which a lot of people say now is a proper grass track, and it probably is. That's how it is. But
Yeah,
like you say, Collier Street, the Ace of Aces, a lot of these guys now, even your GTSA, there's a lot of preparation goes into that track now. It's not just get down there, put the track up, and away you go. Same as Fretton. They're preparing tracks, aren't they? They're rolling, they're reseeding, they're doing all sorts.
yeah, and you have to. I think now it's
Yeah,
expected, isn't it?
I mean, when you look at Astra, Graham Murray, I mean, I don't know when he first started down there, Graham at Astra, but we've been going there for years and years and years.
Yeah,
But he still prepares that track great. He does.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have to. And I can remember going where the GTSA track is years ago now. Again, they've revamped that. It's great there now. It's a great little track. Frittenden was the same. I can remember them digging that field up basically and starting the game. But that's what you have to do.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of obviously. I suppose it's due to the bikes have gone on. They've moved on so far. You can't really get away with riding something like that on such a stubbly field anymore. I guess that's why.
That's about the gist of it. Yeah. And that's why I think. I suppose over time you had Ivan Matthews, didn't you, try and build a speedway come grass track bike, and it does work, but only in certain extents, like
Yeah,
he because if you go to a rough track, you're not really going to get round. If you go to a track that's prepared and it's smooth, you probably will get round on a speedway style motorbike, and probably better than what you would on a grass tracker. But you can't be done really. You've got to have, it's a bit like having a trials and a what I call a motocross bike. There's two different motorbikes there, and the same with a grass track sidecar and a speedway sidecar.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, we sort of talked about bikes, and some of the bikes that took you to some of these big wins. I'd like to talk about now. And obviously, you've won, as I said at the top, some of the biggest meetings that there are. At some point, you've won them. Now, the first one sort of is the bonfire burn up. Now, recently we've had a video, or I put together a video for Bob, and we put it onto YouTube, and it's sort of the 50 greatest sidecar races at Collier Street. And Paul Whitelam, I think, actually commented. He said it's like a tribute to Rob Wilson. There's so many races of you on there at Collier Street, but it was obviously somewhere you just loved racing.
Yeah, I mean it was a local track for me. It's it wouldn't be no more than 10 miles away. Obviously, Tom Penfold, the mate, well, Tom and his team, I should say, really. Um, it was just a great track, and again, as the years went by there, they done more and more preparation. I can remember that being dug up there and then putting track grit or like a shale into
Mm,
the dirt, which again, made it great. It was so smooth, there wasn't a bump on it, and
yeah.
it was so wide, um, Gareth, that there was so many lines, so you could overtake. It was that much easier to overtake. It was just a great track. The whole team up there was good. Um, yeah, I think the boards made a little bit of a difference. It was somewhere where everybody wanted to go, and it was yeah, they had some real good crowds and some real good meetings we had over there, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we sort of, as I say on the video, that there's sort of 50 greatest races, and you're in it a lot. And I think that the reason is that you rode it like nobody else did. Everyone else seemed to sort of either sort of go on the inside line or make the gate and just hold everyone up. But you you didn't often make the gate there. But you seem to love riding these wide lines, and you were so much quicker than everyone else going around there. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, that game was just the track, wasn't it? They prepared the track in such a way that, and they would also scrub that dirt off that was chucked from them inside riders. They would scrape it off and make it a good racetrack for the whole meeting. So it was, if you could get that line round the outside, it was probably the thing to do. And yeah, we had some real good times over there. But again, that when they was making it like they was making it, it slowly led itself to speedway bikes
Yeah,
going around there that much quicker. And I'm sure I don't have to remind anybody of when Mooney used to catch Mesa and stuff like that, because he didn't particularly get off the line, Mooney, but mate, did he go on his speedway bike? He's
yeah,
and your Darren Trelaws and people like that. And we had a lot of meetings at Collier Street. So then the boys, myself included, I can remember Tim Bennett, Neville, all of us, we had, you were taking your speedway bikes to Collier Street,
yeah.
and your Grasstrack bikes being left at home, sort of thing. It got to that sort of, the track surface was that good. So it was
Yeah,
very, very much like a speedway surface.
yeah, it was superb. It really was
Oh,
at
it's
its
brilliant,
height.
brilliant.
Yeah, amazing place.
I believe, the floodlit meeting they run. I think that was when the Still boys brought it off of Tom and John and the Collier Street, and that floodlit meeting over there was a great meeting.
Yeah,
And I believe that's where we should be going with some of our grass tracks, which is similar to what Wimbledon tried.
yeah, yeah, and they nearly pulled it off as well.
Yeah, they did. They did. I mean, the Wimborne was great, lit up and really great. And I would say that floodlit meeting, I've never seen so many people at a grass track. To be fair,
Yeah, yeah,
time we'd finished and thought we'd whip over the beer tent and have a beer. They was all sold out. So it just tells you how many people were there.
yeah. Well, you didn't need to win it, Rob. If you hadn't won it, you wouldn't have had to have gone on to rostrum, and you'd have got a beer in then. See?
Well, yeah, probably, but
They were brilliant meetings. They definitely were, and obviously
oh yeah, great.
the bonfire burn up was something to look forward to every year. And you won it 3 times. The first time was sort of in really wet conditions, and you couldn't ride round the outside there, but you got yourself in front, and they still ran the 6 lap final. So I know it was a long time ago, but any memories of that first time you won the burn up?
Yeah, I think that was. Am I right in saying Smithy was catching me all the time there? I
Yeah,
don't know if that was the one. I know where you got a real wet meeting, and again, this has sort of changed our bikes a little bit, where we put 21 front inch wheels in
yeah,
rather than the 18, like a spiky front wheel, and yeah, that worked as well in wet conditions, and it still does to the day. That particular wheel is great, makes your bike handle a bit better in the wet,
yeah,
But
yeah.
I can't really remember, to be fair.
Well, they had the track was hard to ride. I think I think it was the one where it was either 95 or 96 where Steery went over in the first turn, and obviously he doesn't crash a lot. But there was one line on the inside basically, and obviously Smithy was hunting you down and hunting you down, and everyone
Yeah,
could see if he caught you that it was going to be some fireworks. But no, it wasn't to be, and you took your first burn up win, which was amazing.
yeah, yeah. No, I've had some good meetings over there for
Yeah,
sure.
and then you won again the burn up again in 2004, and then you won the last one when the track was unbelievably good in 2006.
Yeah, that was the one that, like I said to you, after that meeting. Now I'm sure that's when Matthew Tyrrell took that bike away.
Right.
Um, I'm sure it was. But yeah, and he took it away, and we just, he'd already made the arrangements to purchase it, but I don't think he wanted me to take it home and start playing with it. So he took it away from the meeting, picked the wheels that he wanted it out the trailer, and away he went. And Matthew Tyrrell, yeah, for sure, went good on that motorbike as well. So,
Yeah, he
but
did.
yeah, it was a good bike. And like you say, if you get off your line at Collier Street and do your own thing, it was. They made it easy because they made a nice big track of it.
Yeah, and that was it really. I think that for a long time, on the run up to that, really, because I've seen videos of you in like 91, 92 trying it, but certainly that bike, you mastered this style that you still use today, where you go into the turns really, really fast, and you let the bike run, and then let it sort of run out wide and run off the turn. Do you gear the bike to do that, or is it just something you just do?
I think it's something we just do, and I've always had that, you know, going. I suppose really, I'll come back and certainly my pit crew at times say, why do you go that wide? Because sometimes it can work and another time it don't. But we do tend to hit the turns probably a faster than a few guys, and then it does make you. Obviously, it can shoot you out wide if you're not too careful. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a riding style. Sometimes it works and sometimes it don't work.
Yeah, well, I mean, it did around then because everyone knew that they could get out in front of you as much as they wanted, but you'd probably just ride round them. That must be quite a good feeling.
Yeah, but again, like I said, Collier Street, when they prepared the track, they prepared it from the inside to the outside. So in the turns, it was still a good surface, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
And you could do that, and it was wide turns. It was a racing track. It was big. It was just everything about it. It's a shame we've lost it. To be fair.
yeah. It certainly is. Yeah, because there's nothing like it. There really hasn't been anything to replace it, is there?
No, there ain't. And like I say, the floodlit meeting, the bonfire burn ups. I'm sure if they were still going now, we would have good crowds.
Mm.
But yeah, sadly, it's not to be.
No, it's not. And talking of good crowds, I mean, the Ace of Aces is the next meeting I want to talk to you about because it's another one that you managed to win in '95. Amazing result. Obviously, must have been brilliant to win that because that was the one to win, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and we done quite a few aces up till then, and never really done particularly well there. But it was always thereabouts. I think yeah, it was a Dawson, sort of Mees, a Smithy, even Pinfold, Huff. They all went round there really good, didn't they? And
Yeah.
and then after that, you obviously there's other people, isn't there? Ken Lane was always quick money. You got John Halsey, you got Buddy Jacko. They're all good guys going quick. But yeah, '95 was good for us. I've got a bit of a story behind that. I mean, the week before, you must remember Shane Baker at the time.
Yeah.
He's turned up with what was a brand new X-Up road going bike, and that's what we put in for that particular meeting. It didn't have anything done to it at all. Roger couldn't believe it. When we won, he said, no, that ain't right. But it just, again, I think because the track was prepared so good, it was quite slick, I suppose. The big, powerful motors wasn't really the one. And that standard X-Up done the job.
Yeah.
But being brand new, this was a brand new engine.
Yeah.
I can't really tell you where he got it from.
I don't want to. I was just about to say.
I'm sure you'll guess.
I was just about to say, write in if you think you know where Shane might have got that from. But yeah, I'd imagine it had done some fairly fast miles on the way down to Kent. But
yeah. But Shane was the guy who brought the Hagen off me, wasn't he? The Hagen,
right.
the Godden. So
Right.
he became a real good mate after that.
Yeah.
And Shane was another one. He brought that Hagen Godden off of me, but didn't give me a chance to get it home. He was on my doorstep, and I want to buy that motorbike, and in his van, and off it went.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. At least he paid you for it, I suppose. But
yeah, exactly.
These, yeah, I mean that '95 win. The Roger actually said, I think, on the rostrum, he said that they were all keeping an eye on Ivor because Ivor looked like he was going to win it, and Dave because Steery was going well, and nobody expected you and Milo. It was Milo, wasn't it, on the back?
Yeah, Milo.
Nobody expected you two to win it.
No, it's a strange one, and even Dave Steery, he obviously had a second on that day, and I'd lent him a clutch the day before because I think we either practiced on a Saturday or done some sort of qualification. But the clutch I lent Dave for his ex up at the time was, and I didn't think about it. We had obviously took the gear off the back that drove the oil pump.
Right.
So I give it to Dave, and he's put it in. Obviously, he sees his motorbike up straight away with it. He couldn't believe it. So he went home then, Dave, from the Aces all the way home to Staplehurst at the time.
Yeah.
To pick up Robbie's engine that was on the bench, young Robbie's engine.
Right.
And Dave got back, done a late practice, and he had a second that day.
I think you'll agree that the racing was fast and furious. I think we got sucked into trying to sort of worry about one or two of us that thought we were going to win, and we forgot about Robbie that was always likely to win. And I had a grandstand seat of his overtaking manoeuvre of Dave Steer, and that must have been the most tremendous thing I've ever seen anybody go so fast around the outside. I don't think Dave expected it, and as I say, I had a grandstand seat. It was a pleasure to watch. The trouble is, I wasn't going fast enough to catch up.
So
he nearly won it as well. I mean, it was cruelly taken from him by you.
Yeah.
By you.
It's a good job. It's a good job he didn't, Gareth, to be fair. on Robbie's engine.
Yeah, definitely. It would have been a fairy tale story, but not for you. But a great meeting, and obviously a great win for yourselves. And you nearly won it in '88. Like I was saying on the Hagen, I remember you in the Hagen. Everyone talks about Jewison and Misa around about that time, but you were going through the card unbeaten. I think you had a problem in one of the heats. I'm not sure. I can't remember what the problem was.
Yeah, I couldn't work out. Was that the one that was televised?
That's it. Yeah,
Did they televise it? Yeah, we was going really good, but I can't. Yeah, it would be some sort of ignition problem. I would have thought some sort.
Yeah, and it looked like you were going to sort of win that, but people forget that, I think. And then the last Aces, of course, I think at the time we couldn't believe it, could we really, that it was going to be it. But the track again was completely different to Winterbourne Gunner, but amazing track, amazing venue. The only downside was that the Aussie won it.
Yeah, very much so. It's good to win it, but to be honest with you, it's good to win anything, to be honest with you. Not just the Aces, it's good to win them all. And obviously we don't. We've been fine. We've heard fault there, but today obviously come right at long last.
Well, indeed, it did come right. I think you'll agree that with the sidecar racing we've seen this afternoon, we have seen some of the most tremendous sidecar racing. Hold on, Roger wants another word, I think.
I think you'll all agree when you know how fitting it is for Ron Wilson to win, because not only did he win on his bike, but he led Dave Steer an engine from yesterday, which you probably all know about. I've been borrowing spares off him all day, so perhaps if we borrow everything off him, we won't be able to win much more.
There's still keep something in reserve, obviously. Well, indeed, let's give you one more big cheer to all three of our winning crews. Third, it was Roger Meester and Shane Lapham. Second, it was Dave Steer and Andy Orchard. For the winners this year was Ron Wilson and Danny Miles.
Yeah, again, he would have been on a speedway tyre for sure. I'm sure the boys out there, well, all of us, would have probably had the speedway tyre in the back, because Ian, bless him, he used to roll them tracks rock hard, didn't he? It wouldn't cut up on the turns like what I would call a normal grass track. It would just stay like a concrete type surface,
Yeah.
So, which obviously again, they're a little bit shorter on the back end. The fronts are out, they steer that much better, they go around turns that much better, and if you haven't got no bumps, you've got to favour the speedway style outfit all the time.
Yeah, I think it was an eye opener, wasn't it? Especially when the Aussie got to to Collier Street the following week, and he just was making up ground like nothing on earth. Like, he was so much faster than everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
And then all of a sudden, everyone started thinking about going to speedway bikes. But yeah, we sort of talked about that really. And the other meeting, of course, that we've got to mention is the British Masters, which obviously you've managed to win. And you sort of made your debut in '86. So it was a few years after it had started. Can you remember when you first did the Masters?
No, I can't, unfortunately.
It was up. You had to travel for it because it was up country in Northallerton.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I can tell you that. But yeah, long time ago. And I would imagine you probably didn't think that you'd still be riding in it. Sort of what are we now? Sort of 96, 06, 16, 35 years later, I suppose.
No, definitely not, Gareth. Definitely not. No.
It's a great tournament though, and I think it's because the Aces and Burn Up have gone by the wayside. I think that possibly it's gone some way to replace it now, hasn't it?
Yeah. If Graham hasn't got it, I mean the GTSA. I think the one they run the other year was a really particularly good Masters. There was a lot of people there. There was some good racing, and all these other guys that put a Masters on, they just do that little bit more, and it makes for a great meeting, doesn't it? Certainly with the sidecars.
Yeah, it's the one to win, isn't it? When you sort of plan your season, that must be the one that you're thinking about.
Yeah, for sure. That if that's the one you do want to win. That's what you get known for, isn't it? You can come second, third, and do whatever all day long, but you only get known for the ones that you win, don't you? As such.
Mm. Yeah, and you won. You've won it twice. The first one was in 2000 at Swingfield, and it was completely out of nowhere, really.
I can't really remember what went on there, but I can remember John getting hooked up, and then we gained another place, and I think Ivor probably got a misfire somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
And I think that was that's about as much as I. But yeah, and I couldn't. It wasn't until I got back to the pits. My pit crew at the time, Graham Stanley's banging me on the head and saying, "You won it, and I'm thinking, well, no, I can't fucking win it, like, you know what I mean? But there you go, like, but that again was, that's motorbike racing, isn't it? We're all out there trying to do our best, for sure.
Yeah, it was an amazing win because of I think it was between John Halsey and Colin Blackburn through the day. Colin was winning.
I'm sure John got hooked up with somebody, didn't he? Top bend, I don't know.
He sort of lifted in the middle of the corner, and Jason fell off the side.
Yes, that's it. Glennie fell off, didn't he, Jason? Yeah.
And then
shame, really.
Yeah, it was. and then he obviously couldn't. So he was out of the competition then, and Ivor, as you say, got a misfire, and you overtook him, and then suddenly the bike came back on, and he got past you again, and then it was proper drama. I think it was raining as well at the time, and
it was.
Must have been the longest race of your life, I think, but. Yeah, brilliant to finally be the Masters champion. And then 2005, and I was laughing at this because I watched the video back of when you won it at Norvium, because of, I think you're interviewed at the beginning, you and John Halsey, and you're both giving it some about how you're retiring and you're going to, sail off into the sunset. And here we are 15 years later, it's still going.
Yeah. John's probably done the right thing, isn't he? To be fair, but I don't know. Yeah, I still love it. So all the time I'm enjoying it, I'll still keep doing it. But
yeah, it's good. But that Masters was tough. I mean, it was a tough old track, that one.
Yeah, I was. I can always remember getting. We were. That was with Ian Well, wasn't it? I got parked up in the corner, and Jacko was there, and he was telling me that he had the week off to prepare his bike and do this and do that, and I'm thinking, oh my god, because he was a good runner as well. Trust me, he was a proper good runner, wasn't he? He turned that motorbike into a big bang, and he was fast, proper fast. But yeah, again, you want to win them all, and we were lucky enough to win that one. So John's had his. He's had a lot of goes with Jacko and people like that. But it was our turn, wasn't it? It was that sort of time that everybody has their day, and we managed to come through it.
Yeah, it certainly felt like that. I think saying that you had your turn is right, because Gary obviously had gone so well for so many years, and then John and him had the ugly thing with the Masters in
Yeah.
'97, and you were still there or thereabouts, but never in amongst them, and now here we are, and it's your turn. And I think that's the best way of saying it, really.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we done what we done, and yeah, we were thereabouts that by then.
But
We
John
were
was the
going good.
closest rival. He was your closest rival on that day, and he often was. I mean, you've had some tremendous races with John and Jason really over the years.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, I think John. Yeah, John was a great rider. He was a hard rider, wasn't he? I think the fact that he had Glennie on the back, Jason, and a lot of the time I had Marlowe, and they was the best of friends, and there was a lot of banter going on. We just had a great time with John, to be fair.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And then the following year, obviously, you were on that blue Suzuki, which was really fast. And you won everything pretty much that year, but apart from the Masters, where Rob Bradley managed to come in and beat you, and that all happened at Cornwall.
Yeah, but you can't. It gets your turn, doesn't it? Then Rob Bradley goes on and wins a few Masters, doesn't he? He was never on a slow motorbike. Rob Bradley was always thereabouts, but then it was his turn. So, and that's how it is to a certain extent, all right. Our bike was quick, but you can't get disappointed. On the day he won, didn't he? So that's it.
Yeah, well, that's quite positive. And I remember you not being too sort of. Some riders would be completely gutted, wouldn't they? There's you and I both know some riders who it would be everything, and if they'd won everything on the run up to the Masters and then didn't win the Masters, they'd be absolutely devastated. And you and I both know people like that.
Yeah. I'm not going to name them, but yeah, we're probably talking about the same odd few people. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think this was Smithy telling me this. He said to me, you're only ever as good as your last ride, and I believe that.
Yeah.
And that's a great saying. And you might think you should have won and done this and done that, but again, that's motorbiking for you, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and if you can keep that in your mind, I suppose you can handle anything. But we've sort of talked about not last year, the year before's Masters, where you got squeezed out in the final. So it'll be the qualifier for 2021, which obviously you've won before when you've had to do it. So shouldn't be too much of a problem, all being well.
No, I hope not. Obviously, the more, as the years go by now and we can't get out there to race, obviously I'm probably the wrong age, if you like. Time's not on my side, but I do believe that if we do get out there in 2021 and we can go racing, hopefully I can qualify for the Masters,
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure it'll be fine. Now, next thing we're talking about is passengers, because you talked about John and Jason just now, and obviously Jason was so important for. Are you all right there, Rob?
Yeah, all good.
Right, I was just checking because I know we've gone on a bit, haven't we?
No, you're fine.
Okay. So yeah, we're going to talk about passengers next, obviously, and John and Jason, as you mentioned, Jason was so important to John for many years, and you've had a few passengers, but you've always had them for a long, long time. I'd never ask you which one was the best because that cause an argument. But is there any sort of passenger memories that stick out in your mind that above all the others?
Just what you're saying to me. Yeah, I have had passengers for a long time, and obviously Terry now, who's still with me now, and he's been with me for 13 years now. Believe it or not, Terry Saunders.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is great. And I suppose Ian Wow, Tony Miles, Nicky Owen, Kev Simmons, Vince, Vaughan. I all had them for 2 or 3 years. They wasn't really long-term guys. I looked at my passenger situation, and I've had, I think over the whole of my racing sidecar career, I've actually had 27 different passengers on the back at some time or other.
Yeah.
Which obviously, as and when you've had Vince laying in hospital with his broken leg, and Terry does his bits more off the track than on the track, hurting himself. And all these good guys have jumped on, and I've had a lot of good guys, Yeah, from the early days, I started off with my brother-in-law, and he went on to go get his own bike, and Vaughan Roberts went on to get his own bike. Kev Simmons went to get his own bike. There's Tim Bennett rode with me for a little while. All these guys have gone on to buy their own motorbikes, which I think's great.
Yeah.
They've done that. I don't know if it's because they think I'm too slow or not. I'm not sure, but and every time one of my long-term passengers has been laid up, I've had some good guys jump on.
Yeah.
Liam Brown's always wanting to jump on. Went to Australia with me, done all them sort of good things. I've had Billy Winterburn on the back, Bradley Steer on the back. There's been a lot of good passengers that I've always wanted to jump on if their rider wasn't driving, and they've jumped on. So yeah, I've got to take my hat off to them all. Really, they're all good guys.
Yeah. What do you think it is then? Because there's some drivers that having been a passenger myself for a long time, some drivers you would think about whether to ride with, and there's other drivers who you would jump at the chance. And like you say, people seem to want to ride with you. What's the secret for if you're a young driver coming into the sport and you want to hold on to your passenger? What sort of thing do you think you need to do?
Probably not frighten him too much. Father him in his ways.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't particularly think I'm a dangerous driver by a long way, and I'm fairly safe. And I'm probably, if I was a little bit more ambitious, perhaps we would have won a little bit more. I don't know, but certainly I think we want to go racing on a Sunday, don't we? And we would need to all go to work on a Monday. And obviously, all these passengers and drivers, or any of us have got families to look after, haven't we? So laid up in any sort of hospitals is not good. So
no, definitely not.
Yeah, I think and I'm hopefully all them guys that I've had on the back have enjoyed it, and I'm sure they have, and now they are still racing, or they've got other interests, which again is all good, isn't it? All
yeah,
good.
Yeah, and they've all come out of it unscathed, pretty much, I think.
Yeah. We've had a few accidents where we've I don't know. It's one of them things, There's we all know the risks, don't we?
That's
but
it.
We've been lucky, really.
Yeah. So another rider who obviously came from your sort of from where you. Let me start that again. So what we're going to talk about next is your son Robbie, because obviously Robbie had a fairly decent, two decent runs as a sidecar driver. When he was really young, I can remember him racing in the early 90s and mid 90s. And that's when he first started. How did that come about?
Well, again, I mean, we were so lucky to have the likes of Mick Steer in our team, if we like, at the time. And, Mick would build so many bits and pieces, and we probably had enough bits and pieces to build a bike. And I'm sure that's probably how it come about, because Robbie was 17 when he first took to driving, which was in 92. So you're about right with your... and then he packed up when he was 23. But he again, he had a few accidents here and there, and obviously a young man, if you like. I'm not sure what it's girls, isn't it? Girls get in the way, don't they, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, no, Robbie's great, and he enjoyed what he was doing, and I enjoyed helping him at the time. And again, it's a part of my life. And is that is all good,
Yeah. When he returned, because he sort of suddenly came back into our domain, I suppose, into the Grasstrack world around about 2007, 2008. His name started popping up everywhere, and then he bought a bike, or he had a bike the same as yours, very similar looking bike to yours.
Yeah.
And then, because before you guys both looked different, if you were wearing black, he was wearing red, and whereas this time you all had the same kit, the same bike, the same everything, and it must have been really special to, turn yourselves out like that.
Yeah, it was great. Robbie was, and he still does. He works for a company called Worth, and he's a tidy lad, and he likes his motorbike to look really good and clean and tidy. So it made it easy. He would clean his bike, but he wanted his motorbike and turn out looking good as well. From when he retired at 23, I think it was 11 years later when he decided to come back again. So, But he's just got other things on his. I've never been like that. I've always enjoyed me building my bikes, I suppose, and me doing my engines and all sorts of stuff like that. Robbie's got a lot of other interests, young family. He loves his football, which again's all good because I didn't want him to. He's his own guy, really. He does his own thing. So, yeah, it's great he's done his motorbiking, and he retired in 2016, I think it was. And, you wouldn't never say he's got no plans to come back, because there'll be one day when I'll be too old to put my leg over that motorbike, and that might be the day that he wants to give it a skid. You don't know, do you?
No, I hope so. It'd be good to have him back, because obviously he finished with a big accident, didn't he?
He
at
did.
Swingfield.
He did. It was unfortunate because he was going good. He won the Sand Ace from me one year, and he beat me a few times, fair and square. It made for a quiet start washing the bikes off on a Monday, for sure. But apart from that, it was all good. But yeah, he did have an accident, which was unfortunate, and that did. It's hard work, isn't it, if you've got a young family and all this sort of good stuff.
Yeah.
But that was the Mick Cave bike, the BMW.
Yeah.
Which was a great bike, and Robbie started to get that to go really good, So, but yeah, never say never. Hopefully, we will see him back one day.
Yeah, let's hope so. It'd be good to have him back. Now we've talked Grasstrack, so we'll quickly talk sidecar speedway, because it's something that you've always dabbled in. I know that you've got a sidecar speedway outfit now, which is the only thing you rode last year, in fact. But lots of sort of eras of sidecar speedway, isn't there? We've sort of had the Paul Miller years and the Paul Pinfold years before that, where I think a lot of you turned up at Coventry on a grass bike. So, thoughts on sidecar speedway? Have you enjoyed it? Do you enjoy it more, or how do you feel about it?
I wouldn't say I enjoy it more. I've always been a grass tracker in my view, but I do enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. And I think what's going on now with ACU and Tracy Coster and the way they're trying to get it off the ground is very good. We always seem to get these things going, and then they, it goes a bit of a stalemate. But at the moment, everything's a bit of a stalemate, isn't it? But they was getting that off the ground, and when we've had some really good speedway meetings. I suppose 18 and 19.
Yeah.
And like you said before that, we had the Super Cup Series that Paul Miller done. It was quite a while ago now, but that was very, very competitive. We had the Australians over there, and they were sort of not showing us the way. But at the time, like you said, we most of us would be on like Grasstrack outfits trying to go around, and they was here on their speedway bikes. So, that again, really, Gareth, is. One bloke comes to mind there, and who's took it to the Aussies would be Mark, wouldn't it? Mark's gone to Australia. He's beat them on, their home turf, if you like, and he's extremely knowledgeable. He's built some really extremely good speedway bikes, and hopefully the speedway sidecar will only go forward, which might be a good thing for me, because as much as I'm saying I'm a grass track rider, it's lovely riding on them nice smooth tracks.
Yeah. Do you find do you like riding the outfit as well? Because obviously it's quite different to a grass track bike riding a speedway outfit.
I didn't, but I must admit, since I've had the my last speedway bike, which I've had for a couple of years, and it's like an Aussie style one, the more I ride it, the better it is.
Yeah.
So hopefully. If we can get going on 21, I've recently put a Honda into that rather than, what I call the Yamaha, the big bang engine. So hopefully I can get that going as well. Good,
Yeah, let's hope so.
But I have enjoyed the speedway, I must admit. It's been good. It has been good.
Yeah, it's good. When it's good, it's brilliant. I think that's the thing with sidecar speedway. It can be if you got 2 or 3 bikes at the line popping and farting and banging, and then you got people. We know that it can go like that, but.
It's got better and better, I think, and I think the series now, I think nearly everybody is on a speedway bike. I might be not quite right there, but most of us have got speedway bikes now, so
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah, and it should be good going forward. But two things stick out really from the Super Cup years. When Paul Miller was running it. The first one is that final at Poole, where Milo fell off the back. It was it's a race that gets shown quite often, and that obviously involved you, John Halsey, and Duncan. I think was the other rider in that race. But an amazing race to be a part of.
Yeah, it was, and it's good to I suppose to look back on, and like you said, there's loads and loads of views on that particular race, wasn't it? And again, you got to say John Halsey was a great guy. Duncan, we all rode reasonably well, and it was a good spectacle, wasn't it?
It was brilliant. Yeah.
So, and then for Marla to fall off at the end, that was just showboating, I think. But yeah, no, they were the good times, and yeah, we got to look back at the good times. There's been some obviously bad times with him racing, but that again, unfortunately, is part of racing, isn't it?
Yeah, and one of the bad times, of course, was the other memory I've got of you in the Super Cup was at Workington, where you had I can't really remember what happened. I was riding myself and can't really. I may have even been in the race. I can't really remember, but it was something that happened on the back straight, and your injuries seemed to be awful.
Yeah. What I can remember is I was coming out that. The back straight. I think I clipped the fence. I think me and Ivor. It might have been Ivor. It's nothing to do with Ivor, but we were obviously all in the same race, and. I clipped the fence and the bike sort of catapulted down the straight. My worst injury, and I didn't really think much of it at the time, was I ended up with double vision.
Right.
And I had double vision for probably the best part of 6 months, and it was horrendous. You looked at a table, and if there was one glass on there was 4 glasses. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
And I think I broke my ribs at the time, and all them sort of things. And when I went to hospital, the guy was saying, he said, don't be worrying about your ribs. They're going to repair. He said, your double vision is a problem. And it was. They give me corrective glasses, and so it sort of brought everything in line. But you had to look at everything dead straight on, and it was a real bad accident.
Hideous. Yeah. What caused that then? Was it a brain injury or?
I believe Workington was a real narrow track, remembering it, and I just clipped the fence, and obviously hitting your head on the ground that hard, and the guy who looked at me, he said, look, just these cartoon characters where their eyes pop out their head, he said, that's what's happened to you.
Jesus, man.
And you've stretched your muscles behind your eyes, he said, and it's going to take a while to put right.
Yeah.
And he was right, because I was probably out for the best part of 6 months or more.
Yeah, a lot of us thought that was the end for you, to be honest. The end of your racing, certainly. But
I think Smithy was one of them. He just thought I was a goner, you know. It was a strange one, and then it is what it is. Like you said, there's bad times and good times.
All good now, though, thank goodness.
Yeah, all good now. All good.
Yeah. Now then, racing abroad is next on the agenda, because you've done a lot of that, really, more recently in Australia. You must love going over there to race.
Yeah, the great thing about Australia is obviously the weather, and it's winter months here when we go, and it's their summer, so that helps. I think now I've probably been to Australia 5 times, and raced out there 5 times. Enjoyed all of it. I suppose the first time we went right back as far as 93, 94.
Yeah.
Christmas time. There was 7 of us, I think, went at the time. Out there for about 6 weeks. And, it was brand new to us then, wasn't it? It was never knew it. It was great. It was, really.
On Grasstrack bikes the first time, though, wasn't it?
Sorry?
It was on Grasstrack bikes the first time.
Yeah, we all took our Grasstrack bikes. There was a couple of guys there that had sort of what I call the short speedway bikes, but that's probably all there was then. I'm not sure though. I think Mitch might have had the Mitch out, the one is what they use now, but I'm not sure. But certainly, Russell Ing, Neville, myself. I can't think. There's Albert Lewis, Ray Brackle. I think they were on speedway bikes. but the small ones. But certainly Russell Ing, myself, Ivor was on his grass tracker. But yeah, we still put up reasonably good shows on them bikes. But as we know, they don't particularly turn as good as a speedway bike.
No.
I went to Newcastle Showground. I think me and Ivor done a bit of a show there, just both of us. And yeah, we won the first one because the track clearly had a lot of dirt on it.
Yeah.
But as the evening went on and they were putting road race slicks in the back and they was doing all sorts of things, we were stone bonkers last. But if they had kept the dirt on the track, me and Ivor would have done extremely well, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's it must be amazing to go over and race over there. I mean, it's an eye opener, I'd imagine, because you think you're going pretty good, and then you get over there, and Christ, they're fast.
Yeah, they are, mate. They are good, but they do what they do, and they do in speedway, and they most of the time.
Yeah.
There's no grass track for them. It's just speedway, but some of them guys, they were certainly Mark placed in that. He was just a young kid when he started riding, and a lot of them are like that, and they don't seem to get rid of their bikes either, Gareth. They don't ride for a long time, and then all of a sudden they get the bike out and away they go again. But they're still good, quick guys, and yeah, if I was to be truthful, the first time we went out, they call them A and B graders, and yeah, we were struggling to beat the B graders, to be fair, because they were quick, But a great time, very enjoyable, and obviously we brought a lot of stuff back to the UK, which probably started off building speedway bikes and Cayenne carburetors and all this sort of good stuff, from that time, really. So
no, we can learn a lot from them still, but yeah. And then obviously, certainly sort of 10, 15 years ago, you were doing a lot of riding in Europe and on the German tracks and a couple of French tracks as well, but they were always good weekends.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, we could, again, you could probably talk about it for hours, but obviously when we used to do the German ones with Ian Barclay, we would travel down to Folkestone on a Friday night, normally be Ivor, John, myself, or I can't remember the others, but yeah, we'd all jump in a couple of vans, one bike on top of the other, a few bikes, boys laying in the back, and off you went. And Barclay was the driver. As long as you could supply him with cigarettes, he was a great. He just kept driving. But yeah, again, we had some great times, and Ian organised a lot of the first German ones, and then Lou Coffin done it for us, and the French ones were done with Karina Headland. Brilliant times, unbelievable. You can't, you're never going to forget them.
No, and the tracks were brilliant, and we're sort of, we know that the tracks are prepared really well, and they're massive as well. I mean, when I rode at Ludinghausen, you were out there, and you and Ian had a crash actually, but it was, the track was unbelievable. Like, it was just so fast. Like, you're just not used to going so quick.
Yeah, no, Ludinghausen was really. I mean, them straights are unbelievable, aren't they? They're so long, and I'm probably never going to go road racing now, but that's probably as close as I'll get to it, I would have thought.
Yeah, you don't realise things like sort of wind resistance and it's pulling the peak of your helmet back and all sorts,
exactly
incredible.
That, and again that guy who puts that on and gets us over, that Albert, he's such a lovely guy, and he loves it, don't they? They love the sound of their motorbikes, and they do sound great. Let's get it right. They do sound good, don't they? So.
They certainly do. Yeah. Now there is a bit of an urban legend, Rob, which you can deny if you want, but there's some story that goes around. I can't remember who it was that told me about you doing a burnout inside like a drinking barn.
Yeah, no, that's true. that again, it's.
How did that come about?
I think I'm right in saying it's. I probably ain't going to pronounce this right, but Berghampton.
Yeah.
And the track's very near, I suppose, like a village hall type thing. But they had like a nightclub downstairs, and then upstairs they had the village hall, and obviously, all the tables laid out and all the bits and pieces. And they did ask us. They said, "Can one of you ride your bike round and do a bit in the village hall, just do a burnout?" So yeah, we started her up, we got her in, and we put her up against what was the stage, and sure enough, we just dropped the clutch and done a burnout through the middle of the through the hall, like, you know. But they loved it. They can't get enough of you, you know. Them sort of things you never ever forget, you know. And I know perhaps we shouldn't talk about it, but you know, the amount of people, the spectators, they bring you a crate of beer down and leave you some beer there, or you know, John would back me up here, Russell Ing, all them sort of guys, where they used to have the little snaps bowls, and you drink snaps and stuff like that. You know, they weren't particularly strong, but you know, it was just a fun time, great time. You know.
Yeah, incredible. Really must have been amazing. But
yeah, it was.
Yeah, and now we've mentioned it a few times on the way through our chat here, but you sort of threatened to retire, or retirement seems to be coming several times. And I said to you that 2005 it looked like it was all over, but you're still going. So what is it that keeps you motivated every year? Because it's not like you sort of bought a clapped out bike and you're just having a go on a Sunday for a bit of fun. You know, you still got top of the range gear. You're still at the top of the sport. What is it that keeps you going?
I suppose just the enjoyment of it all, to a certain extent. You know, I love preparing my motorbike to a certain extent. I suppose the washing down after a real muddy day is not so great now, but the actual building of the motorbike, I mean, Kevin Hollister's my main man now, but the nice bits we make, you know, our fork yokes, you know, we make a load of alley bits and pieces, a bit like everybody does, but we go and get them anodized so our bike looks good. We have our frames plated and all this sort of good stuff. And we just get everything working really good, you know, and I enjoy that side of it. I really do. But I also enjoy the racing. Obviously, it's that much better when you win. And like you said, 2019 probably wasn't my best year for sure. But I'm hoping, you know, if we come back in 21 now, I'm mentally, I still think I can beat the best of them, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, well,
but I do still enjoy it big time.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't put it past you really, because you know we spoke at the Banter Awards last year, and you sort of mentioned, and Terry I think mentioned a couple of plans for 2020 which never happened. But yeah, there's a few changes that you've made, haven't you?
Yeah, we have, and certainly going back to what I, you know, coming off of like a big bang type engine back to like a 360. I'm hoping that's going to help. We did run it the end of 19. We did go out and win the Sand Ace on it. I couldn't quite get that motorbike running quite right. You know, it was a good engine. You know, once we sold our frame to and our R1 to Mark Warren, Mick Cave come back in again and soon got me an engine because my Honda, I kept my Honda, but it had a hole through the case. So Mick supplied me with an engine. We put that back together fairly quickly just to do a couple at the end of 19. Like I say, was very went out and won the Sand Ace, but it wasn't quite running right. And we done one at the end of the year for it, and again it wasn't quite running right. So I think we sort of decided that, you know, and we all do this, and obviously I done it with Suzuki, I've done it with all the engines. You know, you buy the engine, you get it home, you take all your bits and pieces off it, you put your Cayenne carburetors on it, you stick your own ignition on it, or a ignition should I say, put some ethanol in it, and away you go. But we are trying to keep the Grasstrack as standard as we can as a stock engine. But we have gone on to fuel injection. So we're sort of running the motorbike how it should be run.
Okay.
And as far as things go at the moment, it's coming out really good. It starts up a treat, it sounds a treat, it runs on a dyno a treat. But if it's good on the grass, it'll be another thing. I'm sure it will be. Just to put you in the picture, I've had a guy called Nick Morgan, MSS Performance. He's a guy who helps Paul Johnson, Jono Racing.
Yeah.
And I know when Jono's come out, he don't come out that often. That Kawasaki is probably the quickest thing in a straight line for sure.
Yeah.
Very, very fast. Well, Nick is the man who's been behind the Honda, and obviously we've got fuel injection on it. We've got Motec ignition. The thing sounds like a racing car, but if it works on the grass, we'll have to wait and see. But right this minute, I can go up the shed, press the button, and it starts lovely.
Wow.
Which at my age is great.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
pushing it round and round and round. But yeah, we just got to wait and see, you know. And again, you know, I've stuck a Honda back in the Speedway bike. That's how it was with the Cayenne carburetors. They're still on methanol.
Right.
RTD ignition. And I'm sure that'll be good. I did have a little skid at Highway right at the beginning of 2019, and I was really pleased with it. But like you said, when I ended up going to Kings Lynn with it, it burnt out the ignition box. So
right.
That was it.
Mm.
So that's the plan, and
Yeah.
obviously, hopefully, it will happen in 21, or we will get a skid towards the end. But
Yeah.
another
hope so.
plan, really, Gareth, is for obviously Terry now, bless him, he's been with me for 13, 14 years. He's got to have a go on the handlebars. I mean, he's been on it when I've been injured or been away or something's happened, but that boy can ride that motorbike as well. So you will see Terry Saunters on the bars at some time, but not sure when.
No, yeah, a few years yet, I reckon. Terry, will have to hang on.
I don't know. People say, you know, why do you still keep doing it? A bit like what you've asked, you know, and I still love it. I really do. I really enjoy every aspect of it, really, to be fair.
Yeah, and I don't actually think that you're, you know, a lot of riders, I think sort of wind down a little bit, don't they, towards the end, but it doesn't seem like it's happened for you yet. And I think you know it, don't you? If you're going to give up, you know you can feel yourself winding down, I reckon.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem to happen. I mean, if you'd packed in at 2005, that would have been tragic because we all knew you were one of the top riders, and not a lot's changed now. I mean, yeah, you come 7th in the Masters, but that was only through, you know, a little bit of bad luck here and there, and otherwise you'd be seeded to the Masters again. And it's a bit of an interesting thought actually, because there's a lot of riders in that sort of top lot at the moment, like yourself, who are the wrong side of 50. And it's worrying, really, isn't it, for the sport?
Yeah, I mean, this has come up a few times now. Obviously, it comes to mind your Bradleys and your Rod Winterburn and them sort of people with it. Even Colin Blackburn. I mean, even Paul's not miles behind us, is he? Paul Whitelam. You know, he is a little bit, but not. But certainly, you know, Rob and myself, and yeah, it's a shame because, you know, newcomers come in. There is a few newcomers. I mean, sometimes I look what happens in perhaps the Southern Centre, and some of them, I've never heard of some of them guys, you know, and which is a good thing because, you want more and more people getting into the sport, don't you? And obviously the big one for us at the minute, the young lad, is obviously Kieran, isn't it? You know, he's come in and, started to go extremely well.
Yeah, and we need a few more, definitely.
Yeah, we do need a few more. I'm not sure where they're coming from, but hopefully we can get a few more for sure, you know. Yeah,
definitely. Well, Rob, I think we'll wrap it up because we've chatted for a good part of an hour and a half now. It's been really interesting. I mean, it's always going to be, really, having ridden so long. Absolutely fascinating to hear some of the things you've been saying and some of your insights into all the different things that have gone on. Just before we go, is there anyone that comes to mind that you think you could sort of thank publicly over your many years of racing?
Oh, it's so hard to do that, Gareth, because I've had so much help over that career time that, you know, I suppose what goes on now would be more appropriate, and obviously, I mean, Pete Colvin's still a big part of what we do in our racing. You know, Pete's great when you want something welded up or some cables made or your Cayenne sorted out. He's a great guy. Cavey to this day is still, you know, Mick Cavey. He would help everybody if he probably could, and another great guy. You know, Jim Partridge, Ryan Partridge, Kevin Hollister, all them sort of guys. And then recently with what I've had to try and get my Honda to run sweet, which they have done it, is obviously Nick Morgan and Paul Johnson. You know, they've had a big part of getting that Grasstrack bike where it is now, and it's sitting in the shed raring to go. To be fair, so
Yeah.
Wilson Tarmac, guy called Johnny Wilson, lovely guy. He goes back forever. Like, you know, he's sponsored with us with our methanol, and he also did Robbie as well at the time, and he's also out quite a bit of solo boys over the years, I think. So yeah, just Johnny Wilson. Kev Gilbert, Iden Signs, he's always done me race numbers and always made me bike look really good in that respect, with sponsors' names on it, etc. And the other guy I'd like to big thank you to is a guy called Ian Curly Mouldings, because again, he's always made different seats for different bikes, different fairings, mud guards. Yeah, just another great guy that helps me. So yeah, thanks very much to all of them. But yeah, I'm sure I've left people out, but obviously Lee Collison, me latest spanner man, is great. All our girls that come each week, Milo, Terry's Jody, and Terry's mum Benny. You know, they come all the time, and I suppose, a bit like what you said. You know, some we win and some we lose, but it's always the same attitude. It's great. You know, it doesn't really matter to them. Well, it does matter to them, I'm sure it does, but it doesn't faze them in any way. So yeah, I apologise if I have forgot anybody, but yeah, I've had a lot of help for a long time now, and it's yeah, it's all been good. It's all been good.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, Rob, thanks very much for joining us. It's been brilliant to talk to you. Have a great rest of your weekend, and and hopefully we'll see you at trackside soon.
Yeah, sure enough, Gareth. Thanks again, mate. Thank you.
Cheers,
Bye.
Rob. See you later,
Bye,
mate. Bye.
Bye.